Welcome back, and we're on to the 10th of September, so let's go. Okay, question 1. We have a Venn diagram. This is why these sheets are so good, because we're really mixing up these topics here to test your understanding of lots of different topics. So this question is saying to you, can you show the complement of A, so everything that is not in A, and everything that's not in B? Now, there's a few ways of doing this question. You get quite good at these once you've done a few. So everything that's not in A, I'm going to do a line for like this. So that's not in A, and that's not in A. Everything that's not in B, again, I'm going to do a vertical line. So that's not in B, and that's not in B. So everything that's not in A and not in B is basically going to be the outside around here. If you think about it in words, that of course makes sense, because I'm basically asking you, what is everything that's not in A and not in B? Well, it can't be anywhere in the circle, so it must be outside the circles. Good question. Question 2, solve. Now, the key to these questions, apart from just knowing how to do the questions, is reading it carefully. It does not say factorize. It does not say just complete the square. It says, I specifically want the values of x that give me 0 when I put into this equation. Now, as you may have seen me do before when I do these questions, there's a couple of ways of doing this. One is just go for it and see if we can get it to work. Because 2 is a prime number, I can probably guess that it's going to be 2x and x. And the numbers that multiply to make 35 are going to be 7 and 5. So just using a bit of thinking ahead, I know that 2 times 7 is 14, and 1 times 5 is 5, and 14 plus 7 is 19, which gives me the 19. But of course that's a minus 19, not a plus. So therefore both of these numbers need to be negative, because minus 5 and minus 7 give me plus 35. So you can just go for it. Often that will work. You get better at doing it other times than others. Or you could do the generalized technique. Now these numbers are going to be quite large. This is not a nice one. So I've got 2x squared minus 19x plus 35 is equal to 0. 2 times 35 is 70. And I want two numbers that multiply to make 70 and add to make 19. Now, as before, these are both being negative numbers. So in other words, I just want the multipliers that give me 70. So let's try the obvious one. So I've got 7 and 10. Well, that's not going to work, because 7 and 10 is 17 and 17 isn't 19. So that's obviously not correct. So I could do 14 and 5. 14 and 5 would appear to work, because 14 plus 5 is 19 and 14 times 5 is 70. And both of these numbers need to be negative in order to give me negative 19. So what can I do now? So I'm going to then split this out into 2x squared minus 14x. I'm using these numbers here. Minus 5x plus 35. And I'm going to factorize the left bit. So that's going to be 2x, x minus 7. I'm going to factorize the right bit. So it's going to be minus x. Now I'm taking out a minus 5. So this is going to be a minus 7. Check that the thing in the bracket is the same. It is good. Take out the x minus 7, and that's going to be x minus 7 to x minus 5. And I've done it. But of course I haven't. Remember where I started. I'm solving, not factorizing. I've got the same pair of brackets both times, so I'm going to use the brackets on the left because I've got more space here. So you'll remember that either that equals 0 or that equals 0. Because the only way I can get an answer of 0 when I multiply two numbers together if one of them is equal to 0. So therefore my answers are going to be 5 over 2. Or, and the or is important because they're not both necessarily 0, or equal to 7. And I've done that question. So nice, not simple, but nice question to have a go at. Next question. So rearrange to make W the subject. In other words, I want to do some maths so that I end up with W equals something. So I'm going to do all the steps over here. Now there is no right way of doing this. It is whichever way works for you. It is just that some ways will take you longer than other ways, and therefore it is deemed that some ways are better because they're quicker. So what I'm going to do is I'm first of all going to expand the bracket. So I've got AW plus AS is equal to E. Now I want the W on its own. So let's move the AS to the other side. So I've got AW equals E minus AS. And then I'm going to divide everything by A, which means that W equals E minus AS over A. And that's the next one done. Now I will say it's also acceptable to do E over A minus S, because my A's cancel. They both give you the same idea. Next question. All right, we have more box plots. The box plots show the speeds of the cars travelling through the villages A and B. The speed limit in both villages is 30. So I'm guessing it's going to be something about how many cars break the speed limit. compare the distributions. Now, when you do comparison, you need to do two things. You need to compare the median, and you need to compare either the range or the interquartile range. It doesn't really matter which one you do as long as you do. And then you need to do both of those things in context. Now, I don't have a lot of space here to write this super neatly, but you need something along the lines of the median speed, because I'm talking about speeds. So the median speed, so I'm going to write this here. So the median speed in B, village B, is greater, there's my comparison, than in A. You need the speed because you need the context, and then you need to say which one is bigger and which one is larger. Then I'm going to compare my IQRs. So my IQR of B it's a smaller box, so therefore it's lower than this one here that is a bigger box. So I can say something such as the speeds in village A vary more than in village B, and then say why as the IQR is higher. So you've clearly compared your median and you've compared your IQR or your range, but IQR is what we tend to use. Now you can give numbers. The problem with giving numbers is if you give numbers, you need those numbers to be correct. So almost you're better not giving numbers because then you don't risk getting them incorrect. Laurie thinks that there should be a speed camera. So I'm now doing this bit down here. Laurie thinks there should be a speed camera installed in village B. What percentage of the cars exceeded the speed limit? Well, this is a good question because this is basically testing your understanding of what a box plot is. Now, a box plot is such that between each line is 25%. So because it's dead on 30 miles an hour and there's a line here and there's a line here, there must be 25% of cars in between. So therefore the answer to this one is nice and straightforward. It's just going to be 25%. And that is today done. As ever, do like and comment on the video if you have any further questions. Subscribe to make sure you get more of these videos, and we'll see you again for another one. Thanks all.